Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So today I wanted to do a top pen video, and I've done these top 10 pen videos for a while. I did one in 2018 around this time of the year, towards the end of the year, and I've also done a top 3 pens with Appleboom recently in 2019. So I decided I was going to try and do my all-time or ultimate Grail pens. So today here on this video I'm going to show 20 of my ultimate Grail pens, and these are pens that I have in my collection today. And some of these pens I have had for several years, and some of them I have just added them to my collection this year, or with the case of some of these within the last couple of months. And I'm always asked, what are my top 3 pens or top 10 pens? And for me that is incredibly difficult to answer. I will do another video shortly of my top writing pens for a ultimate writing experience, but for now these are just my ultimate Grail pens. So I'm going to show these off. I'll go through the tray of pens here. I've got 10 here, and then I've got another 20, and I've got another 10. So I think let's just go through these from left to right. We have the Sailor King of Pen, and this is the Sakura Nagar pen. This really is a beautiful pen. This is one of my ultimate Grail pens. As soon as I saw this pen, I really wanted it. But I don't actually buy pens on a waiting list, and I know some people do, but I find that I'm more of an impulse buyer. So if I were to order a pen and have to wait 3 or 6 months or even 9 months, I would find that I would probably not like the pen at the end of it when it arrives. And this pen, when I first saw it, I really liked the look of it. Unfortunately, it was on a wait list, but I did buy it eventually, and I am so glad that I did. It's a Sailor King of Pen, and it's a Maquet version of the Sailor King of Pen. It has the very large number 8 size Sailor King of Pen nib. It's a cartridge converter pen, but it has this lovely Maquet Rawdon finish to it, and you can just see that there, that it really is quite stunning. So there's gold dust and there's these Rawdon petals as well. So that is one of my ultimate Grail pens, and this was a pen that I picked up in October 2019, so I've had it for just a few months, but for me that is one of my ultimate Grail pens. I absolutely love writing with it. I love the writing experience. I do like some of the Sailor nibs, especially the King of Pen nibs, but I do like how this pen looks, and I absolutely love writing with this pen. The next pen here is again another Sailor, although technically it's a Classic Pens LB5 in the Kaoseki or metal ore, which is the brown colour, and it's made of diffusion bonded acrylic. Now this is a Sailor made Classic Pens. Now Sailor made the Classic Pens LB5 for Classic Pens, so this is effectively a Sailor King of Pen, just like the Sakura Nagar there. And you can see here again it has another number 8 size nib. It's a cartridge converter pen, but I just love these in the size of my hand. You can post these if you want to. I find I don't need to post these pens, and I'm not normally a pen poster, but I know some of you are. But this material really is quite stunning, and for me this is one of my ultimate Grail pens. And when I say ultimate Grail pens, for me this is a pen that I maybe lusted after for some time, or maybe it's just a pen that I absolutely adore in my collection, and it definitely is a pen that I keep coming back and inking up, because it's a pen that I really do like writing with, and I really do like the finish, the look, the feel of the pen. That takes me on to this one, which I was able to pick up from the Toronto Pen Show, and this is a beautiful pen, and a friend helped me pick this one up and ship it to me because I wasn't in Toronto, but this is a beautiful pen. So this is the Visconti Camelot, and this is a beautiful pen. Now, I'm not normally into silver pens, and I don't normally like silver pens because they tarnish. This really hasn't tarnished much, if anything at all. Maybe there's the odd spot here or there that you might see that has tarnished a little bit, and I can polish that up if I wanted to. But this is just an exquisite pen, and this is a Visconti, and I didn't know that this pen existed until I saw some photos of it at the Toronto Pen Show. And a friend was asking me whether or not I wanted to pick up any pens from there. And she was sending me some photos, and this one came up, and it was like, well, are you sure this is a Visconti? But this is a beautiful pen. I'm really glad I added it to my collection. It has a special meaning to me because it's Camelot as well, and Camelot being in the UK, and this also has a very, very lovely 18 karat gold, and this is a medium nib, but this writes very, very wet and very, very juicy. So for me, this is a pen, again, an ultimate Grail pen. And when I say ultimate Grail pens, these are also pens that probably I will never, ever part with unless something really unfortunate happens. And these are just pens that are my Grail pens. Now, there are Grail pens that over time that you fall out of love with, and likewise there are other pens that you fall out of love with. But for me, at least at the moment, end of 2019, these are my ultimate Grail pens. And then we have this pen, and this is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. And this is a beautiful pen, and I like this for a number of reasons. One is that this pen is very heavy. This pen is made of solid silver and also solid marble. So that is a heavy pen in itself, and I think I'd have to look, but I think it's around about 80 grams, 85 grams in weight. It comes with a 23 karat palladium nib on there. I just love this pen. I love the weight of it, and I love just how it looks and feels. And I keep still thinking there's a newer version of this out, which is a green marble instead of a red marble. And I do keep thinking that maybe I ought to get that. I do try not, where possible, to have duplicate pens or very similar pens in my collection. But there are pens that are duplicates of the same model or same shape, sometimes even the same colour, sometimes even all of the above. But for me, this is a beautiful pen. So I do love this one, and I love writing with it. It came writing a little bit dry, and I flossed the tines on it, so now it writes perfectly for me. Quite wet, but not a fire hose wetness to it. And then the next pen here is another pen, and this is a very expensive pen. This is the Visconti Ecstasy Dowd, and this is a beautiful pen. It's a lovely sort of like black type resin that gets going on here with some gold dust in here that you might just be able to see under the camera lights. And then it has this gold overlay. It's a beautiful pen. It has a crown on top, which you can put some sort of cotton wool in. And the idea is you unscrew the blind cap here, and then you unscrew this. And the idea is you put perfume inside the pen. And this is a dabber, so you would just dab the perfume, dab the cotton in here, and you scent your pen. Now, I still haven't done that with this pen. I would much rather have it as a writing pen rather than a scented pen, but it actually kind of does appeal to me. But I'd much rather actually wear the cologne or EDT on myself than on the pen. but some people may be different in that approach. Now, this comes with a really lovely 23 cap palladium nib. This writes super wet. Now, unfortunately, because this holds perfume inside it, you'll see here that it has a very small capacity piston here. So that holds around about 0.6, 0.7 milliliters of ink. So being a super wet pen and it's a medium nib, this actually runs out of ink pretty quickly. But it's a pen that I absolutely adore writing with, and I love taking out. I love the length of the pen, and I love the decorations on the pen as well. It's just exquisite. And then my other Grail pen, which I added in 2019, and this is my birthday pen in February 2019, is another Visconti. And this is a beautiful, beautiful pen. And this is the Visconti Last Templar Edition Jacques de Molay. And this comes with a ring, and it comes with a sword or dagger. Which is really more, I guess, used for a letter opener. But this is a beautiful pen, and it's a pen that I had been lusting after for a couple of years, and I managed to pick one up thanks to Marco at Novelli. So this was a 2019 pen, and I suspect probably in a year's time, if I do a similar video, I'm sure this is going to rank probably quite highly on that video. I think this is a pen that I love writing with. Again, just like the Medici Il Magnifico, this did actually come with some tight tines, and I had to floss the tines a little bit. But this pen writes now quite wet, and I love how it writes. So for me, again, this is an ultimate Grail pen for me. It's just a beautiful pen. It has a lot of chainmail on that pen, and it's just a pen that I love getting out and writing with. Now, maybe some of these pens are not actually good for work or meeting attire, but it's just pens that I do like to write with. And yes, I do actually take some of these into meetings with me, but it's I don't work in construction. I work in an office, so for me, it doesn't really matter too much. And then I have this stunning pen, and this is the Visconti Luxor Obelisk, and this is a really, really stunning pen. So it's an ebonite pen, a pen made of hard rubber, and then it's polished and lacquered, and then it's actually maquilled, hand painted, and then lacquered again. And there's actually the RA logo there with a gold trim on it. Now, this does come with a 23 cap palladium nib. It's a double reservoir power vac filler, but this again, this writes beautifully well. It's a medium nib, but it's a nib that just, it's very wet writing, and for me, it's beautifully stunning. I love the clip, I love the RA logo, and I love all the maquillage that's going around this pen. So for me, this is a pen that, again, I will write with in meetings. And typically, I don't get a lot of questions about my pens. People know that I do collect pens, and I think that's just something that's accepted. So I don't normally get a lot of questions about pens. Maybe if I'm just sitting with somebody having a chat and I have a pen out, and at that point maybe somebody will ask me about the pens, but in meetings, not so much. And then we have this pen, and this was a pen that, again, I added to my collection in 2019. So this is the Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra, and it's a black gold Lucians. And I picked this up from John Foy at St John's Pens. I absolutely love this pen. I love the Bologna Extras. I love them because of their writing experience, how super wet that they write. And I know for some people that's not actually a good thing, especially if you're writing in notebooks. Typically I'm just writing in pages and not notebooks. But I can still write with these in a notebook if I wanted to. But I just have to be a little bit more careful when I maybe change pages. But I do love the Bologna Extras. I love the size of these, and I really do love how these write. So it's got an 18 karat gold magic flex nib on here, but this really is just a beautiful pen. I love this black and gold Luchance material, which is a material that came from Omas originally. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of a sort of a honey sort of bottle or jar. It's really quite nice. And then I have a couple more Bologna Extras as well. So I have this one, and if you've watched some of my videos before, you will know that the Arco material is all very special to me, very close to my heart. And I have 4 of these in the Arco Verde, in the Bologna Extra. I don't normally do multiples of the same pen, but this material is stunning. So you can see here just how well that shines, and the Arco material is polished with like a beeswax compound. But this really is nice. Again, it's another Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra, and it comes with an 18 karat gold Magic Flex nib, and these nibs write very wet. So I just love this pen. It's just beautiful. So I have that one, and then I also have this one, which is the Arco Brown version of the Armando Simone Club Bologna Extra Arco. And this one I'd picked up from Sarge at the One Man Pen Show, and I'm glad that I did pick it up, because these I think went fairly quickly, but these are really nice pens. And again, this comes with an 18 karat gold Magic Flex nib, but again, it's just perfect size in my hand. I do love these pens. They are beautiful, stunning pens, as you can see that material there. So these are beautiful, and again, it's just one of my ultimate Grail pens, because I do love to write with pens, and I'm not just a collector of pens, and I know there are myths around that I don't write with my pens, and that's fine if people want to think that, but for me, I do write with my pens, and I not only like a pen that is beautiful, but I also like a pen that writes well. So that always for me is a very clear sort of indication on which pens I add to my collection or not. And then the final 10 pens that I have that are really what I consider my ultimate Grail pens are these pens. So I think let's go through these again in more detail. So this is the Visconti Watermark, and this really is a stunning pen. Now, it does have a little bit of orangey watercolour ink, or water basically, left in the pen. It's very difficult because this is a power vac to get that out, but this is a solid silver pen. This comes with a 23 karat palladium nib originally on these silver models. They are solid silver, but they are plated in 23 karat palladium, and that actually keeps the pen from really tarnishing, and actually makes it shine more. So this for me is definitely a pen that I do love a lot in my collection. It's typically not a pen that I've actually written with a lot recently, but I want to ink that one back up very soon, because I do like how that writes, and I do like an orange ink in that pen. I do like orange inks. And then we have this pen, and this is the Visconti Belgica, and this, you can see there, Belgica on the cap band, and you can see here the crown and the lion crest. But this is again another Visconti, again a very beautiful, stunning pen. I love this gold overlay, and I love how this writes. This was my first 18 karat gold board nib, but this writes very super wet, and again it's a power vac filler with a double reservoir. But this really is just again a lovely pen that I have in my collection, and I consider one of my ultimate Grail pens. And then there was this pen here, and this is the Visconti Speakeasy, and this is a pen that I did lust after a lot, and I think it was probably for about 12 months, maybe a little bit longer. I have a red jewel here, in the My Pen finial. But I absolutely love this material. This blue and red hue that is sort of blended together there is really quite stunning. And I do like the facets, although the facets here are on the cap and on the piston knob, but not on the pen itself. And I do love this Speakeasy. It really is a beautiful pen. It has a 23 cat palladium medium nib on, and I think you can probably sense a theme here that a lot of these nibs are medium nibs. Now, just like the Ecstasy Dowd, you unscrew this blind cap, and the idea is that you store alcohol in here, and it holds around 6 milliliters of alcohol. But this is a beautiful pen. You can also actually change. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more better here. You can actually change the type of alcohol that you have in here. So you can actually rotate this and change that there. But you can see Speakeasy. I just love this pen. The only downside with this pen, if I zoom out a little bit more, you'll see is that it doesn't have a large ink capacity. So it really only accepts cartridges. I have a little Kaweco squeeze converter on here, but for me this is a pen that writes super wet. And I like super wet pens, and a lot of people ask me, well, how can you write with a super wet pen, or why do you like a super wet pen? And it's quite clearly that I like to have a smooth nib. I typically don't like nibs that have feedback to them. And the more ink that the nib puts down onto the page, the more wetter the ink or the ink flow is, the more the nib glides across the page and you get less feedback. So even if you have the most feedbacky nib, if you have a super wet nib, then you'll find that it won't actually feel as feedbacky as it should do. So for me, this is a beautiful pen. I love this Visconti Speakeasy, and again, it's one of my ultimate Grail pens, probably a pen that I would never sell. And I say never, I'm sure at some point I will sell it, and I'll probably sell some of these, or if not all of these, but certainly for the time being, these are pens that are not for sale. And then we have this one, and this is the Visconti Opera Master Crimson Tide, and this is a pen that I really like the look of, and I think it was about a year I was searching for this and managed to find one eventually. And this comes with a 23 cat palladium nib. It's one of these demonstrators like the London Fog, but it's a ribbon swirl pattern on there. But you can just see that it's a beautiful pen. And it holds around 2.5 milliliters of ink in that barrel there. And I typically have it inked up with a red ink. And it's number 36, 38. But this is, I do love the Opera Master pens, and this just, I love the 3D effect going on there with that ribbon. Absolutely beautiful. And I also have a My Pen finial jewel on there as well. But again, that's a pen that I like a lot, and I have had a number of people ask me if I'm ever going to sell that pen, and at this moment in time I doubt that I will, but who knows. And then what really started me off down this Grail route was the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog, and this is a beautiful pen. I absolutely love this ribbon effect going on here, very similar to that ribbon effect of the Crimson Tide. You've got the blue, but you've got little bits of white in that ribbon as well, and it really looks beautiful, and it makes me remember sort of as a child we used to have marbles, and we used to buy marbles, and you would have that same kind of ribbon effect going through the glass marbles. And for me, I think maybe that's why I like this pen so much, because I used to love playing with marbles as a kid. I love the grey and blue effect here going on the cap as well. This comes with a 23 cat, and this is a fine nib, but it's a 23 cat palladium nib. You can post these if you want, but for me it's just too long. But it's a power vac filler, holds again around 2.5 milliliters of ink, and it has a double reservoir here. So it's just perfect with a hook safe lock mechanism, so you can just unlock it very quickly. And that brings me on to this one, and this is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Swirl. And again, this is a beautiful pen. I love this swirl. And again, you can see some inky residue in the pen. It's again a Paravac filler. It's very hard to clean these unless you unscrew the nibs. I love the ivory kind of effect going on here on the cap. It's really, really stunning. And again, this has a 23 carat palladium nib, but this is a 1.3mm stub nib that I have here. But again, if you want to, you can post these. But for me, I just don't do that. But again, 2.5 milliliters of ink, double reservoir, Paravac filler. I just love the look of this pen, and I love how it writes as well. So I do love these ribbon effect pens, and they are just beautiful, stunning pens. So again, that's another one of my ultimate Grail pens. And then I'm also partial to the stacked celluloids, and I know a lot of vintage pen makers had stacked celluloids like Parker and that, but I absolutely love this. This is from Visconti, and this was from a friend, Stefano, at Stilograph Corsani. He was able to do a numbered edition of this for his store, and typically Visconti had done this one first, which was a Wall Street, and this one came later. But I love this. It's done in a Homo Sapiens style of pen, and the stacked celluloid is just beautiful. Now, I do have a 23 carat palladium nib on there, and it's a 1.3mm stub nib, but that stacked celluloid is just beautiful there. So it is just a wonderful pen. So you can just do that with the hook safe lock. It's just very quick to cap and uncap it. But that is a pen that, again, is a Grail pen for me. Actually, it was a pen that I was able to pick up very quickly, although I thought it had disappeared and it was sold out, but it wasn't. So I'm glad that I was able to pick that pen up when I did. And then about a year later, I picked up the second version of this from Stefano at Stilograph Corsani. And this is the octagonal. And so, again, this was really more done like a Homo Sapiens, but without the Homo Sapiens bands here on the cap. And it's got an octagonal facet design to it. It's a stacked celluloid. And again, it's a Paravac filler, and in theory it's a double reservoir, but I got a broad nib on this one. And unfortunately, with this one, there is a lot of controversy. I was lucky to be one of the first few that actually purchased this pen from Stefano. Unfortunately, his store got raided, and 73 of these pens that he had made especially to commemorate his store with Visconti was stolen. So this actually makes this pen even more special to me, that I've got one of, I think it was around about 12 pens, something around that are really in existence, that are not stolen. So I'm really glad that I was able to pick this up from Stefano when I did. It's a beautiful pen, and again, it's one of these Grail pens. And then I have this Wall Street, and a friend bought me this and as a gift, and it's just, again, the stacked celluloid is perfect, and you see there it's got the Visconti My Pen finial. I didn't think, I looked at the Wall Street for a very long time. I didn't quite like the facet design tapering down to a rounded sort of section here with a double reservoir window. This does have a 23 carat palladium nib on it, and again, this is a 1.3mm stub nib, but this really does write well. It writes super wet, and again, it's just one of these pens that I absolutely love writing with. So whenever I can write with a very wide stub nib, I will do, and that is a beautiful pen, and again, a Grail pen. And then last but not least, we have the Divina, and this is the MIDI Metropolitan. And again, this is not only the Divina where you have the twists going on here in the body, but it's also the stacked celluloid, and you have the silver rods going through the pen. And this really is a great pen. I know myself and probably everyone that has ever bought one of these has all said that they wish it would have come in the larger oversized model, and I do too. I really wish Visconti had done this in the oversized model. However, I do absolutely love how this pen writes. Unfortunately, it is a small pen, and I don't normally do pens this small. I do tend to cap this pen a lot, or post the cap. It does come with a much smaller number 5 size nib, and I'm not really that partial to the number 5 size nibs, but this is a broad nib and it writes very wet. Unfortunately, I can only write about a page of A4 before it starts running low on ink. It's got a captured converter here, which you basically just pull this knob out here and then you twist it and turn it. But for me, this is a beautiful pen, so I do love this. I love how this pen writes a lot. It really is a beautiful pen. So for me, again, this is one of my ultimate Grail pens. So ultimately, that's 20 of what I call my ultimate Grail pens. Now, there's a lot, obviously, that didn't make it into this 20 pen list. There are a lot of pens that I have that I really do like the writing experience with, like my Scribos, my Scrittura Bolognese pens. But ultimately, I had to reduce this down to 20, and I think I did fairly well, but these are my top 20 ultimate Grail pens for 2019. Maybe in 2020 these will change when I add some more pens to that list. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in 2020. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.